Welcome to the Dynasty Happy Hour podcast. Pull up a chair and kick up your feet as you get ready to enjoy some of the industry's most entertaining and actionable Dynasty content on the planet. We're talking veterans, rookies, sleepers, and oh yeah, you know the crew has those dad jokes ready for you. So let's not wait any longer and bring on the host or some combination of Doug, James, and Tyler.
Welcome back to the Dynasty Happy Hour. This is a voice from Dynasty Happy Hours past, many past episodes, but I'm here back with you on episode 364, where we are going to talk about some preseason risers and fallers. It's time to value check and to start trading. But before we do that, I want to make sure that you are liking our channel on YouTube and hopefully subscribing. There's a little button down there, as the kids say, like and subscribe, drop a like if we're dropping heat. Yeah, check it out. You can tune in every Sunday night around 9 p.m. and see these three faces or two faces or some combination of three faces every single night. Faces. Yes. Two-Face. Where's Rachel? Absolutely. But yeah, we got a lot of cool stuff to cover. But before we do, not only like and subscribe on YouTube, guys, it is daily best ball draft season. It's already started on Underdog. Season-long best balls are drafting now. Anywhere from $3 entry to $500 entry. Best Ball Mania is back, where it's up to $3 million to first place. Imagine winning that. Holy cow. Holy smokes. We still got baseball. There's golf going on. They do NBA and hockey as well. Lots of awesome things on Underdog. And right now, when you go and download the Underdog app right now, either in the Google Play Store or the Apple iTunes Store, use code DHH. Have your deposit up to $100 matched right away. It's free money for something you're most likely going to play anyways. So make sure you go on over there, do some best balls, do some prop betting once the season starts. That's my favorite way to play on Underdog. Once again, code DHH for your deposit up to $100 matched. Let's roll the boys in. James, Tyler. James, how's things in Jersey? How you doing?
Everything's going great. Thank you. Great day today. Nice. Had a nice home league draft.
Nice. Any steals? Any good ADPs?
Yeah, I got James Cook in like the 9th, 10th round, something like that.
I just heard Tyler get a little
Superflex league.
6 to midnight over there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kylie, you got any redraft leagues going on?
No, I unfortunately am not part of any. So
I'm only in 2.
Who's ever watching on Facebook and all my friends on Facebook, old high school.
You have friends?
Yeah, I had. If you guys want to start a league, I am hungry for a redraft league. Like old buddies sitting around. Like I am starving of a redraft league. So I would like to join one. It'd be fun. But yeah, just everybody that the one that I used to do, we kind of switched it to Dynasty, and now we got rid of that redraft league.
You technically are in one redraft league, Tyler.
Scott Fishbowl, yeah.
Hey, that's right. I am in 2. I am in a longtime keeper league from my friends when I lived in New York. My keeper, it's a one keeper. It's really QB heavy scoring, so I kept Jalen Hurts, which made a lot of sense. Feel pretty good about that team after drafting, although Yahoo gave me a D, so whatever, Yahoo. I don't like your grades anyway.
Sure they did.
And then I've got my home 2-keeper league, which I'm trying to decide. I'm obviously keeping Justin Jefferson. We're going to talk about Jonathan Taylor here in a minute. My other options are keeping Jonathan Taylor or Amon-Ra St. Brown. So we'll see what happens with this supposed deadline we'll talk about. I'm leaning Amon-Ra.
Yeah.
And I know that's what you're going to say. So before, we'll get into all that here in a minute. There is a lot of news going on, especially for some big name fantasy players, for you guys that are doing redraft. And, you can breathe a sigh of relief for some of these dynasty guys. The Las Vegas Raiders signed Josh Jacobs to a 1-year, $12 million contract. Pretty much the same deal that Saquon Barkley got. Jacobs would have made 10.1 under the franchise tag. He'll now have a chance to earn up to $12 million. Like I said, like Barkley. He's going to be on the field this season without committing to long-term. Jacobs was the RB1 last year, had a phenomenal season for the Las Vegas Raiders. We'll see if he can do it again. I'm a little skeptical, but he has 15 days to get ready for week 1. He held out the entire preseason. James, you think the Raiders are just going to be like, here's the ball 400 more times and have a nice day?
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't put it past Coach McDaniel at all. Yeah, like I mean, he comes from a system where they obviously ran the ball over and over and over again, and then Josh Jacobs, the rushing leader last year. Yeah, they're going to do it again, of course, and they're paying him 1-year contract. Yeah. He's
got no one on that depth chart that's going to siphon touches from him. Zamir White didn't look like anything special in the preseason yet again. And then they've got former Patriots like Brandon Bolden, and they've got Amir Abdullah, I think, behind them. They don't have a lot of depth chart there. So Tyler, it might be if you're in Dynasty, Josh Jacobs, I think he's a little bit of a fool's gold long term. But would you go out and try to acquire him on a win now team for, let's say, a late first?
Probably not. I'll look for a cheaper option. Like, you know me and running backs lately. It's just give me
you don't like them.
Give me a cheaper option. Give me like a Khalil Herbert for a late second over the first.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. I'm with you on that. For redraft, though, Jacobs probably gets into like your end of first, early second round.
Yeah.
Not to talk too much redraft, but it's the season. So, we can give you some nuggets. We're not just one-sided here all the time.
Yeah, I heard Dynasty Nerds and Dynasty Warzone do a redraft podcast, and I go, okay, why? That's not what we're about.
Yeah, they're trying to spread their wings a little bit. I get it. I mean, we play in both. Where I play in both. Tyler, not so much, but
we clip them.
We clip them. Big trade this week. Very interesting trade. The 49ers traded quarterback Trey Lance to the Cowboys for a 2024 fourth-round pick. The Cowboys will take on Lance's entire salary, paying him $5.3 million guaranteed next year. He's not on the books for much in 2023. San Francisco pretty much paid all the guaranteed money for that deal. Dallas will also have the rights to exercise Lance's fifth-year option for 2025. Tyler, give me your take on this Trey Lance deal.
It's... Oh, man, like, he better hope this changes things. Like, they're going to sign Dak long-term, I think. Trey Lance needs to build his career over, and the only upside is what? A Geno Smith-esque type career? Like, that's kind of what we're hoping for.
Still only 23 years old.
Very young, but the issue is he's only played, like, the stat was nuts.
8 games.
Of, like, 400-something pass attempts compared to DTR, who his whole entire college career and preseason is over 1,100, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, like he's got no real reps, and it's really hurting him. He's injured. He's got all the talent in the world. It's just we've seen guys like this, and I was a big Lance guy, one of my most rostered rookies. I started getting out.
Hey, didn't you trade Trey Lance for Trevor Lawrence in a league?
I did, but then I also traded Trey Lance to you for the 110 in that same league.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a tough pill to swallow. Like, I posted on Twitter. I said, hey, I was big on Lance. I really liked the talent, the youth, and I thought he had tons of upside. But, hey, you swing and you miss. And with quarterbacks, if you're taking little bunts like Mac Jones, like even Mac Jones, is he going to turn up? We'll talk about him later maybe. But it's like, it's good. It's okay to take these big swings. Anthony Richardson is a bigger swing than what people are actually thinking. Like, yeah, he's the 104, but he's also had similar reps at quarterback. He's had like 1.5 years of starting, so he's got minimal reps. So these are the big swings we like to take, though, because they can change a dynasty team just like snap of a finger. So if you did take the swing, it sucks. You're gonna don't let it change your mentality going into other drafts either.
Yeah,
like,
I had a Dallas fan hit me up because Lance he's my QB5 in a Superflex league. So he's like, hey, I'm a Dallas fan. I gotta ask, like, what's the price on Lance? And I'm like, I don't know, make me an offer. So he offered me like Michael Wilson, like straight up for Trey Lance, and I was like, no. But then I offered him back, like, I'm like, oh, what about Tank Dell and some money? And he's like, I wouldn't even do Trey Lance straight up for Tank Dell. And I was like,
that's where it is. Like, that's honestly where it is.
I was like, no, I feel you. That's fine. I'll just sit on him. James, is there a scenario if Dallas is really looking down the road? So right now, Dak Prescott's salary is only like $1 million. Next year, he goes up to 20-something million, a lot. He goes up to like $25 or $26 million. Is there a world where Trey Lance sits behind Dak Prescott, and eventually, because the Cowboys just paid Trevon Diggs, they're going to have to pay Micah Parsons, they're going to have to pay CeeDee Lamb.
They're going to pay Micah Parsons a lot.
Yeah. Pollard, who knows what they do there. Is there a scenario where the Cowboys are like, man, we can't keep all these guys, and maybe they don't pick up the fifth-year option on Trey, but they sign him as a free agent to like a low-end deal, and they let Dak walk? Could that happen? Or am I just hopeful?
I think you might just be hopeful.
Okay,
I think best case scenario for the Dallas Cowboys would be to go and get a restructured deal done with Dak in his last year and keep him there for a couple more years.
Yeah.
You know what's nuts to think about? And just, I love looking back at this, the dynasty flow. Like Trey Lance was pulling in a lot this time of last year. Like you go up to the Desmond Ridder or Howell guy and be like, I'll give you Howell for Trey Lance. They are jumping for joy.
Trey Lance. Yeah.
They are running down the streets showing how they fleeced you. And now there ain't no way in hell you're getting Howell or Ridder straight up for Trey Lance. Like that's dynasty. Like that's running backs usually, but that's dynasty. San Francisco, I feel, did to this guy as the Browns did to Deshaun Kaiser back in the day. They threw him in way too soon. He needed to sit a long time, and there was a lot of talent there. It's just they didn't develop it, and they didn't give him the confidence. That was the biggest thing. Like they pretty much poo-pooed his confidence right from the start. Like
have you donated that jersey to Savers yet?
I will never donate that jersey.
He's gonna squat on it. All right, let's keep it moving. Enough Trey Lance talk. 3 Lances. I'm done with it for now. The Jonathan Taylor saga continues. The trade talks are allowed. The Miami Herald reports the Dolphins have made at least one trade offer for Colts running back Jonathan Taylor. Barry Jackson reports the Finns continue to engage Colts in negotiations. Jackson also confirms the Colts are seeking a first-round pick or something in the ballpark of that. Yeah, good luck.
Okay.
Jackson reports at least one other team also believed to make a serious offer. The deadline is Tuesday. So Taylor said that he wants to be traded. They set the deadline at Tuesday, which is cut day. So there's going to be a lot. We've already started to see some movement on these rosters with players getting released. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor not going to get released, but we should have closure on this on Tuesday. James, do you think that Taylor gets moved?
I don't think it happens. I know everybody wants it to happen and everybody's eager to see where he's going to go, but the price has to be right. And Jim Irsay, like, he straight out didn't want to trade him first and foremost, and now he's saying, oh, well, yeah, now you can have a trade, but he wants full value for him, and I don't
Irsay is also a drunken idiot, so.
Yeah, I don't believe that they're going to get full value for him. They're going to have to take some kind of a hit, and I don't know if they're willing to do that. So, yeah, no, I think Jonathan Taylor kind of just stays there or holds out, for that matter.
Yeah. Tyler, what do you think?
I think he's gone.
I think so, too.
This relationship is broken. And there's no way, like, Pat McAfee talked a lot about this and how he's like, Jonathan Taylor and his actions have ruined his personality in that locker room. Like, players are like, hey, we're trying to build a culture with a new coach and Anthony Richardson. We got this rookie quarterback who needs anything and everything. And yet you're sitting here pouting in a sweatshirt on the sideline, just acting like, hey, you like Pat McAfee's like, hey, Austin Eckler had a phenomenal season, outscored you by a ton. And yet, he got $6 million. Like, he got a pay raise and $6 million, and yet you're sitting here saying you want 17.
Yeah, but did ownership make up an injury about him and do all these other things? That's the difference between these two.
I think honestly it's all Jonathan Taylor because he switched agents just recently. Because earlier in March he said, "I'm going to play what I'm getting paid. I signed the contract. That's what I'm going to do." Switch agents this summer, and that's when everything stopped. That's when he just stopped and's like, okay, I'm not doing this, I'm done. And I mean, he's ruined the relationship with the Colts, so I think he's gone. I think the Colts will get a second and maybe a fifth,
or a player or something,
or a player. Like, if it's Miami, would you be shocked if A-Chain comes in the deal and a third?
I feel like it would be like a Mostert or Jeff Wilson.
Maybe or
Jim Irsay would be like, wow, Savon Ahmed looked really good in the preseason. Throw him in.
that is Irsay, but
he's got a cool name. I want him on the team.
Honestly, if they were like, okay, we'll give you A-Chain and a fifth, I could see that because
I think A-Chain is their guy, man. I don't think McDaniel is going to move on from him. But
I agree, but the thing is you gotta trade for him. Then he's going to want some type of compensation. Like, he's going to want to sign something, so they've got to have cap space. And everybody's like, oh, Kansas City could do it. Kansas City has less than $1 million of cap space. They can't do anything. So it's a tough street, but I do think they will find something because I don't think they're going to go into the season with him. And he might, if not, I think he's holding out till week 8, and he might get traded around the deadline.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting storyline to follow. We're all waiting with bated breath on our RB1s on a lot of our teams. In Dynasty?
Yeah. Like, if you were like, okay, I'm going to take the chance. Like me, I like to take chances. This is a running back on his 4th year. I'm actually not going to take the chance here. But if you had a mid first, that could be an early first, would you do it for Taylor?
I would give a late first. That could be mid.
Okay.
I think that might get it done because people are same thing. They're freaked out. Like they don't know what's going on.
He's going to play next year somewhere. But
for sure.
The thing is, he's a year older. He's the whole Le'Veon Bell thing is going to scare people.
Yeah, I'd give up a late first, a late to mid. That could be mid. I wouldn't give up a mid that could be early.
But the person with Taylor ain't touching that. Like that's the issue where we're at in Dynasty. Yeah.
Unless they just want to move on.
That's true.
We shall see. In other running back news, just a small trade yesterday. The Patriots traded running back Pierre Strong Jr. to the Cleveland Browns for tackle Tyrone Wheatley Jr. He is the son of former Raiders and running back who used to absolutely buckle people left and right. Interesting trade because it looks like Ty Montgomery is probably going to make the team. Bill Belichick loves Ty Montgomery for some reason. I was actually talking about the running back. I was talking about the Patriots running back room with my cousins on vacation. And I said, one of those guys, I thought it was going to be Kevin Harris that'll get cut and they would keep JJ Taylor. So obviously they made a move already. So we'll see what happens with the rest of the backfield. It's pretty much Stevenson and Zeke anyway. This does add a nice wrinkle for Cleveland. It gives them a player with some speed out of the backfield where they have Nick Chubb. Jerome Ford's been dinged up this preseason. So maybe Strong, maybe he gets a pass catching role along with Felton because that's pretty much where their depth chart is. So nothing crazy here. I actually think it's a better fit for Strong in Cleveland behind a better line. So I like that if you're a pure Strong owner. I think he just ganged, as Tyler would say, just a smidge of value, nothing crazy. So very minor trade. We did have a retirement this week. Former Dynasty darling Corey Davis has retired from the NFL after 6 seasons. Jets head coach Robert Saleh said earlier that Davis was a risk of missing week 1 against the Bills, but wouldn't get into specifics. And now we know why. The former number 5 overall pick of the 2017 NFL draft appears ready to call it quits after 6 seasons. I remember that draft very specifically because the 2017 draft was the loaded running back draft. And my beautiful brother-in-law took Corey Davis. And then with the very next pick, I took Christian McCaffrey. And I can't complain.
And remember, after year 1, Christian McCaffrey had like maybe 900 total scrimmage yards. He didn't have a great rookie year. Yep. And Corey Davis had he had some injuries, but a very promising rookie career. And you're like, wow, this is going to work.
Yeah.
I want to throw my shout out to Nick Whalen, who is a massive Corey Davis guy.
He's always been a Davis guy.
Maybe Nick Whalen talked him into it. He's like, you know what, this isn't working for both of us. I got your take wrong. Your careers, he had a good career. I won't say it was a bad or he missed, but it was a good one.
Yeah, that first year with the Jets, he was serviceable as like a wide receiver 3. I had him on a couple rosters then, and he wasn't too bad. James, any thoughts on Corey Davis other than he will be missed?
Rest in peace.
Enjoy your retirement. He made money. He got the bag, $10 million a year from the Jets. So he good. If anything, for the Jets depth chart, maybe this is some more targets for Lazard or McCole Hardman.
Garrett Wilson.
Well, obviously, Garrett.
So Jason Brownlee was a guy that has been making noise in camp that I was like, okay, he's going to be the 5th or 6th receiver, maybe practice squad guy. You might not have any hope.
He won a spot.
Now, he won a spot, and there's a chance he could get some playing time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jason Brownlee. All right, let's move on to another receiver with a J in his name at the beginning. Is NFL Network's Ian Rappaport reports Jerry Jeudy, James's favorite, hamstring injury, is expected to miss several weeks. That Denver Broncos wide receiver room has been like the ER this offseason. So Rappaport reports Judy's injury is a moderate hamstring injury that puts his week 1 status in jeopardy. However, he also said there's optimism. It's nothing long-term, which we all know how hamstrings and receivers can work in regards to any season-long injuries with him. If anything, with the injuries to Tim Patrick, with the release of KJ Hamler, I'm all in on a Cortland Sutton rebound season. If he's my wide receiver 3-4, I'm cool with it. But I am even more in on Marvin Mims Jr. That's the guy. I got him late in my redraft league today because I was like, you know what? There's targets to be had. And I think once Mims steps on the field, he ain't getting off it. He's a dog.
He got smoked last night. Got his face mask pulled back, and like it was a bad tackle, and the guy actually got ejected for it. But he's been playing a lot more after his injury. He had an early injury in camp. Another guy, Marquez Callaway, that Sean Payton is a fan of.
Former preseason legend.
He could be a deep ball specialist guy. He's a sleeper now. Cortland Sutton apparently has looked really good. Greg Dulcich went from doghouse.
We're gonna talk about him later.
Yeah, He went from the doghouse to now he's the Joker role. Sean Payton, I think James and I talked about this when we were playing Fortnite last night. I don't think he's shown anything in this offense. People are saying the offense looks vanilla or anything. Sean Payton's not rolling in with a vanilla offense. He's probably shown maybe 15-20% of his offense this preseason. So all the Russell Wilson hate, I have heard in training camp Russell Wilson has looked bad. But once again, I don't think Payton's really shoving everything out there for everybody to see. Sean Payton's he's
been very weird about his training camp too.
Oh my God. And he's always been kind of hidden about what he's going to pull out in the season. So I think this Broncos offense is going to give a little more than we think. And there's going to be one receiver that we're not talking about that is going to come out of nowhere. And it's not going to be Mims. It could be Callaway, but there's going to be one that's just going to be like, oh my God, we need to pick him up week 1 or 2. And I think that's where it's coming from. It's going to be the Broncos, and that's the offense we're going to go digging all and throwing all of our fab at for our dynasty teams.
Interesting. James, I know you don't like Judy, so you're probably just nodding in agreement with Judy, stay away.
I mean, if
soft tissue issues.
I'm all about Marvin Mims. I think the opportunity knocks. Judy, I mean, it's a buying opportunity for you. You know, he's still fairly young.
He's very high price though. I still think his value is very high.
There's a lot of smoke coming around. Well, not smoke. I want to say stench coming out of Denver right now, where you can probably try to capitalize on some of that value dip with the injury. So try to acquire if you can.
First?
Late?
I don't think I'd even do a late first for Judy. I need more consistent production if I'm going to give up a first for a player like that.
These soft tissue injuries are starting to add up.
Like if somebody's like a 24 first for Judy and I see Zay Jones on their team, I'm going to be like, okay, maybe I'll take a little more upside on Zay. Maybe I'll go for Quentin Johnson upside more than Judy.
Zay Jones or Zay Flowers?
Zay Flowers.
Oh, okay.
Yes, my bad. Or even a first for another guy we'll talk about, but I won't say it because I don't want to spoil all of our risers and fallers.
Don't put the cart before the horse. You know what I'm saying? So, and speaking of carts, one of the things that you should do right now is log on to TrophySmack.com and add a trophy, a belt, a grill, a loser trophy into your cart. And in your cart, there's going to be a little section that says use code, and you put in DHH ring, and you get a free $60 championship ring. So as your league is starting to get fired up, if you don't already have a trophy for it, you need to go on Trophy Smack. Now, of course, football is the big one, but they also have trophies for baseball, hockey, basketball. If you're slacking on that, you can go on Trophy Smack and get that done. And they also have the stuff for the losers of your league too. If you want to get them a nice toilet seat they can hang around their neck and do all those different things, lots of creative and fun ideas for both winners and losers on TrophySmack.com. Once again, that is code DHHRING for that free ring at checkout. Segue.
I'm actually going to get some loser trophies for some of my home leagues. So, Al, get your shelf ready.
Oh, God, I don't even want to talk about that. All right, we are going to talk risers and fallers, and we're going to go by position and by person. We've all filled out our list from quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, who is rising, who is falling. So we're going to start with the quarterback position, everybody's favorite, especially in our Superflex leagues. And we are going to start with Tyler. He's going to talk first about his QB riser from the preseason.
There's been a couple, but I don't think none have been easier to point out than Brock Purdy. I mean, everybody thought he would not start the season with his elbow injury, and then all of a sudden he's playing in preseason.
Guess what?
And here we are. I don't think the zip was as good when he threw outside to Ayuk on a play, but this offense, it doesn't matter. Like, it's all going to be short throws and let your playmakers get it. Purdy actually produced as a fringe top 12 quarterback end of the season. And yet, I still think his value is about a couple seconds, maybe a late first if you need to. And I'll tell you what, Kyle Shanahan absolutely loves Purdy. Like he's in love with Brock Purdy. Like he pretty much stated Brock Purdy's got to disintegrate on the field for him not to be the starter. Well, I mean, if he keeps getting hit like this, it might happen, but it's a good thing you can get the backup Sam Darnold for very cheap as well. So Brock Purdy is actually a guy that if I have a late first and I am a contender and say I need a little bit of youth at the quarterback, I'm okay giving up a late first for Brock Purdy. Now, I said this with Davis Mills last year, and now I'm saying it with Brock Purdy, but I think the way Brock Purdy played, I feel a little more comfortable with him because of the confidence in the coaching staff and just how he knows the offense so well. So for me, Purdy is my riser, and if you've got him, you got him for free. Thank you, Doug, and Trade Addict 7 for that waiver wire pickup because we needed that more than anything.
I got you.
But Purdy is now, honestly, if you picked him up, I feel like you're riding with him because you got him for free. He's so cheap, and you got that little twinkle of like, this could be Tom Brady.
Mr. Irrelevant to Mr. Relevant. That's all it takes. Now the Niners moving on from Trey Lance. They're going to try to take advantage of that super duper cheap rookie deal.
Yeah. $2.
They don't get any cheaper than that. My QB riser of the preseason was Jordan Love. You know, Jordan Love had a lot of questions going into the season. A lot of youth surrounded by him on this offense. They draft Luke Musgrave, who we'll talk about soon, Jaden Reed. They have Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs. They got a lot of first and second year players on this offense, but all the reports that I heard when the Patriots did joint practices with the Packers is that Jordan Love looked the part. And I thought he's looked really good this preseason. He's been able to throw the deep ball, which we kind of all knew he had the arm strength to do, but he's been finding these rookies. He's been targeting Musgrave. Reed had a touchdown. Dobbs has been one of his go-tos. So for me, Jordan Love is the big riser. You know, he was probably, quarterback in the 20s when it came to startups and everything, but I think he's gained some value here in the preseason. I actually had someone reach out to me, the same league where I have Trey Lance. Jordan Love is my quarterback 4, and offered me a low ball deal on Love. And I'm like, no, I'm just going to wait because I think that trading him now, I think would be foolish because I think the value only goes up on Jordan Love once the season starts. You know, the Packers are in the NFC North. There's some weak defenses there that he can beat up on. So statistically, I think that he can have a really nice season. I wouldn't be surprised, and this isn't a hot take, I wouldn't be surprised if Jordan Love ends possibly as like a high-end QB2 with the offensive pieces around him and the talent that he has. So I like Jordan Love as a riser just based on the New England Patriots and Packers joint practices, and plus watching the game and seeing what he's doing. Jordan Love, and he gives you a little bit of rushing upside too, which is nice. So he's not gonna be Lamar Jackson or Justin Fields, but if he had 250 to 300 yards rushing, I think that's totally doable.
So if Jordan Love hits, can I put him up next to Herbert of my quarterback hit Hall of Fame?
I think that's fair.
Okay, I just wanted.
It just took a little bit longer. It was like a really slow swing.
I was getting a little like, okay, do I change off my take? Nope, I'm going to stay hard-headed at this. I'm going to stick with Jordan Love. I'm holding.
There's Tyler on that hill again.
Yep. Oh. Just die with my Moncrief picture next to it.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to James, who this quarterback is actually on that same team I have Jordan Love. Fancy that.
Oh, well, I mean, you're doing it right then, Doug, because, Sam Howell, I mean, all due respect
That's
to
my guy.
Dynasty League Football, DLF, but they still have him at QB 33, and he has definitely
Wait, isn't there 32 starters in the NFL?
Yes, they have him
Trey
below
Lance
Will Levis.
Trey Lance has got to fall too, and Will Levis,
yeah,
he's got to fall because he got beat up by Malik Willis this preseason.
I mean, if you have players in your league that just sign up for a subscription and go off of everything they see on a website, Sam Howell is the perfect guy to go out and acquire right now. If you can get him for a mid-second, I'm happy with it. I mean, you got to remember, we talk about biggest risers and fallers, and, there wasn't much to know about Sam Howell last year. He just didn't play too much, sat behind Taylor Heineke. But now the offense has changed. He's got plenty of weapons around him. Offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy apparently is really giving it to Howell and letting him open up the offense. We saw him in the last preseason game, even rushing 3 times for 17 yards, completed 19 to 25 passes, 2 touchdowns. this is what the Commanders needed: a stable starting quarterback. And you got him for a 5th round pick in 2022 rookie drafts. And that's the biggest thing. And one of the reasons why he's my biggest riser is not just to say that, he's only 22 years old and he's ranked QB 33 on the DLF chart. I mean, I'd probably put him right around the Kenny Pickett area, Geno Smith, perhaps. I definitely have him over Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff, maybe. Definitely over Lance and Love, Tyler. So we can go head-to-head on that. But either way, I think Sam Howell is a great addition. He's definitely built up some value over this preseason, and I'm excited for the Commanders this year.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say real quick, Tyler, this is Sam Howell is the reason in Superflex leagues that you take shots at quarterbacks in the late 3rd, early 4th, because that's what I did in a handful of leagues. And now I'm sitting on some Sam Howell and I'm loving life.
Yeah. Stetson Bennett's another one that you should have gotten this year, who had a very rough night last night. But
he did.
The other preseason games, he looked very good. Some other players I think we can rope into risers and fallers. Kenny Pickett looks to be great now. Like I like seeing this. I like seeing Kenny Pickett, and
just traded him.
Another guy I would say is Jameis Winston. God, he looks so good. How is he not starting? This is mind blowing to me. Can I put a hot take? He's going to start in 2024 somewhere. He signed a 1-year deal with the Saints. He's going to start. What if Geno Smith falls apart?
That's next week. Just save it for next week.
And then Jameis comes in and is like, okay, I'm taking Geno's spot.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't know how he didn't get traded in the offseason.
Give up a 3rd for him.
He was okay with taking a 1-year deal.
Give up a 3rd for him right now.
You wouldn't even have to.
On him. Yeah.
Yeah, you might be able to get him for a 4th.
Yeah. Let's move on to the running back position, the most disposable position of them all. Let's go back to Tyler and give us your running back riser.
Yeah, mine is Joshua Kelly from the Chargers.
He had that long run.
He looks like he's going to probably be the backup.
Yeah.
Which is, we've all been searching for that guy. We've all been waiting, who's going to be the guy to spell Eckler.
He looked good at the end of last year, too.
He did. And I think his main issue was he danced a little too much behind the line his rookie season. And he was a talented guy out of UCLA, but it was all okay, just stop the dancing and push forward. And that's what it looks like he's been doing. The Chargers' offensive line also is getting healthier, which hopefully it stays healthier. That is the Chargers' issues. But Joshua Kelly, if you can get him for a 4th, maybe even a late 3rd, you could probably use him in some spells.
Especially if you own Eckler, I think it's worth paying.
100%.
So, because you just never know. Eckler's been very healthy for a smaller man, so you just never know. And I think they're not going to give him as big of a workload either. I think they want to disperse it a little bit more under Kellen Moore. That would not surprise me whatsoever. So my running back riser was a guy that I heard early in minicamp. I think I was listening to Sigmund Bloom and Cecil Lammey.
So good.
On their podcast. And of course, it's Cecil that's plugged into the Broncos, right? So he mentioned the name Jaleel McLaughlin. And he's like, yeah, this kid Jaleel McLaughlin, undrafted rookie free agent's been really popping in minicamp. So I was like, okay. I put in for him in a couple of leagues because you don't have to cut rosters for a while. And I was like, once I hear a name, I'll speculative add. Now in the preseason, it's been Jaleel McLaughlin season. The kid's going to make the roster. He looks really, really good. He's been active in the passing game, averaging almost 5 yards a carry. He's scored, I think, 4 total touchdowns in the preseason. We all know Javante's coming off the knee injury. He's the number 1 guy. There's been some people that have said that Jaleel McLaughlin might get starts at some point. They all have Samaje Perine, which Perine is Perine. He's the average NFL running back, but Jaleel McLaughlin has the juice, and that's the difference here. So I've added him in pretty much every league that I've been able to, and I would recommend doing the same. If you have waivers that haven't run yet and Jaleel McLaughlin is available, stash him on your taxi. The kid looks really, really good. He can catch the ball. He's got nice hands. He's got speed. He's got power. Just a really fun player to watch. And I know it's the preseason, so I'm not getting too hyped up, but for a free square to put on my taxi squad and see what happens, especially at the running back position, I'm all for it. So Jaleel McLaughlin is my riser going from who to rosterable.
Nice.
James, who you got?
James,
I got the tank, baby. Tank Bigsby. and
Frank the Tank.
Doom, 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 doom. No, I listed Tank Bigsby as my biggest riser at running back, not only because he's doing great things in camp, but obviously I had him really, really low in my pre-combine
I
rankings.
Remember.
Yeah,
I remember this.
Running back 11, and
he was 4 for me.
We both scoffed at you for that one.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Jared scoffed at you.
Hey, I will eat that humble pie. All right, he got the third round draft capital, which is it tastes like pretty crappy, but he's definitely carved out a role in the offense alongside ETN. And for all of us that know, Doug Peterson loves a running back by committee. He probably created the running back by committee when he was in Philadelphia.
When he was playing quarterback, actually.
Yeah.
He's like, no, get this guy.
He's like, no, get the other running back.
Somebody else in.
Get on the
other. So progressive.
But opportunity is definitely knocking for Bigsby, and I mean, pass catcher. I think he's very valuable in that sense. We looked for Travis Etienne to open up the field receiving, and he doesn't want to do it. Like we've talked about it endlessly on the show, where he's kind of afraid to catch the ball. And I think Tank Bigsby, with the size, speed, and ability to catch the ball, I think he's carved out a role, and he is going to continue his climb the way he's been doing it throughout the preseason.
They're a perfect combo. Like that's it. They work so well together. Watching the preseason game,
it reminds me of like Javonte Williams and Michael Carter when they were in college together.
It's a new rom-com. It's actually Travis in the Tank.
Travis in the Tank. It's like a cop rom-com. There it is.
Travis in the Tank. Yeah, Travis is like the good cop and Tank's the bad cop.
That was exactly what.
100%.
Travis comes in. Hey, what's up, man? Hey, no, we're not talking to him.
Tank's like, you don't tell him shit. Exactly how it is.
Oh,
all right, let's move on to wide receiver. I'm gonna mix up the flow here, and I'm gonna take mine first. My biggest riser in the preseason is Jahan Dotson. Not only because of the Terry McLaurin toe injury. Obviously, I think that makes Dotson the number one guy there. Obviously, if McLaurin misses any time, but I really like what I'm seeing out of Sam Howell. I'm liking what I'm seeing out of this Eric Bieniemy offense. His first year as a Commanders OC, coming over from Kansas City. And Jahan Dotson is a guy that I liked a lot going into his rookie season. He looked really, really nice. He can do a little bit of everything. His reception perception profile is super solid. I think he is a year 2 receiver that has a chance to really pop and be a 1A to McLaurin's 1. With Dotson, he's a little bit more of a McLaurin is a great player. He's one of my favorite receivers, but I think Jahan Dotson can just give a little bit more explosiveness and do a little bit more than McLaurin can do. And I think this is the year that we're going to start to see that. So Jahan Dotson for me is my biggest riser, because I just think that this offense is going to be much, much improved. And I think Dotson is, we always see a second-year receiver make that leap. And I'm sure Tyler's going to talk about one here in a second. But I think the guy for me out of all these guys that haven't popped yet is Jahan Dotson. So I would gladly give up a late first for Dotson at this point.
Easily. He's a major target for me before the season even starts. He's one of those guys that I want to get my hands on before anything happens. He started with 7 touchdowns last year, really quick out of the gate, but didn't really produce yardage. At Penn State, he was known as a deep threat, and he's kind of shown everybody like, hey, I can run routes, I can do everything. So
and Sammy Howell's got a nice deep ball. So
oh yeah, he does.
Yeah, let's go to James on this one. Who's your wide receiver riser?
Well, he's definitely not a second-year player, but he has been out of the league for 2 years. Calvin Ridley.
What's over-under on this?
Over-under on... Yeah, right? Should we have an age over-under?
What's the prop bets? Tell Ridley. He'll probably put some money on.
Yeah, well, we all know what happened last year. He got suspended. And
panhammer.
It was dumb, by the way.
Got made an example out of, which obviously no one paid attention to Detroit Lions. But he's definitely cemented himself as the wide receiver 1 in the Jags offense. And that's no easy feat, because remember, Christian Kirk, a low-end wide receiver 1 last year, and we also had Evan Ingram popping off in that offense, along with who else? Zay Jones? Yes, Zay Jones. I think Calvin Ridley has just separated himself. The reports out of camp saying that he just catches everything. He looks like the best player on the field. And he's 28 years old. So he's in his prime.
But James, he's 29 because his birthday's in December.
He's gonna be 29. He's an undrafted free agent in 2024. I'm scared. Scared. I think now is the time to jump on Calvin Ridley. And the reason why I have him as my riser is because I was not touching him with the 10-foot pole. I wanted to see it to believe it. And man, it is real what he has been doing in camp.
Now James would touch him with a 6-inch pole.
I would touch him with a end of the first pole.
5 and a fourth.
End of the first pole for Calvin Ridley.
We call that a quota.
He's currently wide receiver 34 on DLF, and I think he should be much, much higher. Just to put it into perspective, he is going around. Shit, I don't have this right.
So you don't think he's fool's gold?
No, I don't. I think he's the truth, man.
So right now, he is in like the 4th round. He is going very high. His value is probably at a late first. Now, my question to you, would you go Jahan Dotson or Calvin Ridley?
Jahan Dotson.
In Dynasty, okay.
In Dynasty.
Because I honestly think right now you might be able to do Ridley for Jahan Dotson.
Let's do it this way. Calvin Ridley or Marquise Brown?
I'd go Ridley.
I'd rather have Ridley just because the quarterback.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Calvin Ridley or George Pickens?
Ooh.
Pickens.
Segue.
Because of the age?
Yeah, 100%. Honestly,
Fair.
Ridley. I was trying to trade, and Doug also is in this camp. Thirds, seconds for Ridley when this whole people thought he wasn't playing.
You were getting ahead of it.
This is kind of where my mind kicks in. It's like, okay, you're buying a stock low, and then when the stock gets high, everybody's like, oh, him going to the Jags is a perfect sell moment. It's like, no. Like Trevor Lawrence is getting better. Let's wait, and then boom, camp hit. One video rolls out, and he's a top 15 receiver again. It's like.
Crazy how that happens.
Yeah. So for me, it's like, okay, I bought for cheap. Now I'm selling for top value. And if I can kind of go to my riser and George Pickens, I would do that. And George Pickens is my riser. And honestly, it's not because I like George Pickens. There's a red flag for me that is the separation. And yes, it is an issue. Like, he does not separate well. He bullies people, but man, if he's going to keep catching the ball like he is and showing separation doesn't matter, sometimes you just got to be like, screw it. He's just that good. Like, Mike Evans was not a great separator. And you know what Mike Evans did? He just was taller than everybody else and could go up and get it. And
fall directly to the ground.
I like the Pickens take, man. I'm a firm believer that he takes a big step in year 2.
And I think it's just because the whole entire thing is Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
Can Kenny Pickett take a leap? And I know I was quoted last year saying he could be a poor man's Joe Burrow, and it looks like it could happen. Maybe the gloves are magic. Who knows?
Poor man Ryan Tannehill.
But oh god, that's an insult. But George Pickens, he looks to be Kenny Pickett's favorite weapon, and Deontay Johnson's still going to get his. He'll get 7 targets a game. But Pickens, man, he has a chance to have 10+ touchdowns in a season and like 1,000 yards, but he's going to get his, and he looks legit.
I like it. Now let's move on to my favorite position, which is the tight end. And I'm going to let James kick this one off because he stole my guy. I am so deep.
Mad.
So deep in love with this man.
Yeah, and not only is he the talk of camp, I think he is the talk of the NFL throughout preseason. This guy has gotten more hype, and rightfully so. Sam Laporta, he has really turned heads. I know people in the redraft circles, they're talking about taking him in the top 12 tight ends, and I certainly did
talking to Thor.
That's
the only person you've been talking
as my
tight end 2 today.
I took him as my tight end 2 today, and I reached a little bit just to make sure I had it in a tight end premium superflex draft. But with Williams out, he's going to take an early leap in production. I believe he's already been named the number 2 target for Jared Goff. The offense is built for offensive production more so than slow pace of game. So we should just say a high pace of game with all the passing targets, moving the ball around. He can be utilized in the red zone. He's got the draft capital behind him. And sure enough, his value right now is still rather low.
Cheap.
Yeah, like
tight end premium, it's sneaking into a late first.
So, and I'd be happy to pay that if I was in a tight end premium league. And
Doug, would you give a late first for?
That's a dumb question. I mean, well, here's the thing. I already have him in all my leagues.
Didn't we just do that in the draft? The post draft?
Here's the thing with Laporta, and I'll piggyback on it just a little bit. The thing with Laporta, Detroit Lions tight ends had 12 touchdowns on that team last year, and with very little talent.
Yeah, Zylstra had 4 in a game, I think.
And they also had Jamal Williams have 18 touchdowns? Well, he's gone. There's no defined number 2. Hopefully it's Jahmyr Gibbs is the number 2 target for the time being, right? We don't know that, but it's Amon-Ra. They don't really have, they have Marvin Jones, Josh Reynolds. You can't rely on those guys. It's going to be Laporta, it's going to be St. Brown, and it's going to be Gibbs. So for me, Laporta, and I was talking to my brother-in-law because he's like, well, tight ends take, 3 years to hit. And I go, this class is going to be different.
This class.
You just watch. I said, I am heavily invested in Laporta. I'm heavily invested in my guy, Michael Mayer. I have in some leagues. Like Kincaid, I don't have any of because I didn't pay that price, but I know Tyler did. But I would not be surprised if I think this class is so special that this will be the exception to the rule, where these rookie tight ends, you're going to see at least, let's say 2 of them to have a tight end one season. And I don't think that's
massive.
And but I don't think that's a stretch when I think Laporta is going to be one. And then I think it's going to be some form of Kincaid, Musgrave. I don't know if Mayer's going to get there in year 1, but he's got opportunity. Here's the thing. These rookie tight ends are all walking into situations where they're the starter more or less right out of the gate, which we don't normally see. So I love this. I'll go on to my guy. So my guy is Luke Musgrave. So he's the one guy, like I took Laporta in almost all my leagues in the second round. And Musgrave was a target for me if I could get him in the third. So I have Musgrave in some leagues. And it's the same thing. He's walking onto the field. They drafted 2 tight ends, Tucker Kraft, Luke Musgrave. They got rid of Bob Funyuns. He's on the Bears. Nobody on the depth chart. Luke Musgrave is one of the most athletic tight ends in this draft. We look at Kincaid and his athleticism. He didn't test it all. And Musgrave didn't really either. But Musgrave, he passes the eye test when you watch him in preseason. He looks like that guy that can stretch the field. He can create separation against linebackers and safeties, and he's going to be Jordan Love's safety valve along with Jaden Reed. So I think that Musgrave is set up in a sweet position as well to be successful in year 1. And he's my riser as well because I think Musgrave was in tight end premium leagues. He was going in the third.
End of second.
Yeah, end of second, mostly in the third from the leagues that I was in.
If I'm in it, it's end of second.
Yeah, but now if you redrafted, he's going at the end of second. So he's gained some value here in the offseason. And I think Musgrave, I know people in redraft that are excited for Musgrave too, much like they are at Laporta. But yeah, Musgrave is my riser for sure. And Tyler, you've got a good one as well.
Yeah, Jake Turd Ferguson is mine. And honestly, he's Dalton Schultz 2.0. That's what he is.
Dalton Schultz?
And Dak has talked him up because you know what? Dak loved Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz was just in the pocket, sitting there, waiting for those 8-yard passes, just accumulating.
Slightly more athletic Jason Witten to break open.
I do think Jake Ferguson is a little more athletic.
I do
but
too.
That's not saying much when it comes to Dalton Schultz or Jason Witten, especially Jason Witten. But Jake Ferguson, he has become a big-time weapon for Dak. And what Dak did a lot on the 2-minute drills when they're, before halftime or end of the game, he dumped it off a lot. 8-yard passes, 10-yard passes, tight end, middle of the field. And that's how Dalton Schultz, I feel like, accumulated all these stats, was just like, oh my God, you just had 4 catches for 40 yards on this 2-minute drive. Like, that was Dalton Schultz in a nutshell. And that's going to be Jake Ferguson. And he's dirt cheap. Jake Ferguson is like a 3rd-round pick value-wise right now in a tight end premium. And you're probably going to get a tight end 1. So that is probably my cheapest option for tight end. I have him in a lot of spots. I held him. And, he's probably going to get some spot starts here and there in UDPL especially because I have Evan Ingram. So might need him.
Took him today, too.
Oh, my.
We all know you did.
All right, it is time for a quick ad break, and then we're going to shuffle along with our followers because we're running a little long. So we're going to tighten it up. And you know how you tighten it up? You use Manscaped. You use your Lawnmower 4.0. It's got a light. You can submerge it in the water. It's waterproof, so don't worry about being all wet and getting ready to shave. You can do it. It'll handle it. Silky smooth. Never going to catch, never going to claw you, not going to rip you open. You're not going to bleed. You don't have to worry about all that jazz. You're looking for a special night out. The last thing you want to see is Band-Aids all over your stuff. Come on now. You're not going to need that with the lawnmower.
Well, also, could you imagine?
Also, you
drop your pants and you got Band-Aids all over your ball.
Well, when you're like, you shouldn't have Band-Aids all over yourself. Out in the public, you should at least have pants on. First of all, second of all,
I'm saying if you have a special night out and you get home and it's the time and you're like, oh, hold on, I got all these Band-Aids all over me because I'm a slobby mess because I don't know how to shave my stuff.
Marvel? Are we going
Minions? Minions.
Arby Band-Aids.
They're scented. They're Arby scented. 100%.
Sniff.
But they give you everything: cleanser, crop, cleaner, all the things, as well as a nose and ear trimmer for you olds like me to get you all nice and tight for a night out on wherever you're going to go. Use code DHH to save yourself 20% on manscaped.com. Do it today. Your balls will thank you.
Yeah, they'll save money. You'll save money on Band-Aids too.
Band-Aids everything's expensive nowadays. Jeez.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, let's get on to quarterbacks. Let's try to keep this one a little tidier.
Quick hits.
Yeah.
Quick hits. Tyler, who's your QB falla?
Kyler Murray. And it's just because
he's got the lowest amount to fall to because he's so short.
Pretty much. I mean, even though you're falling off a stair, it's still a stair. So, for me, Kyler Murray is, rumors have it, they traded for Joshua Dobbs because he might not play this season. And
Clayton Tune, baby.
Kyler, there's a chance he does not touch the field. They are in full tank mode. James Conner will probably be traded. This team is building something. I don't know what yet, but
a losing record.
It's like watching a 1.5-year-old build Legos, and you're like, oh yeah, that's a nice,
whatever you want to call that,
house-ish building stuff. But that's kind of what the Cardinals are doing. Even Caleb Williams, like, hey, I didn't say I'm gonna declare. It all depends on who has that number 1 pick. So
for sure,
we are in this world where the Cardinals might be so bad, and they did this to themselves. They could be so bad that not even the talent of Caleb Williams will come out. So Kyler Murray is my biggest faller. I think if they are in full take mode, there's no way they're going with him as a quarterback. So there's a chance he could be a riser because he's going to be on a different team next year possibly, which I think just the Arizona situation is bad. They showed Clayton Tune just giving the death stare at Kyler Murray as he walked by. Like, he was disgusted by Kyler. So I'm guessing that locker room ain't the best.
I'm surprised he even saw him because Tune's a pretty tall dude.
Yeah, he was sitting. So Kyler was eye level with him.
All right, let's keep it moving. My faller is Mac Jones. And the reason is Mac Jones he had an okay camp. I think there's a lot of questions about this Patriots offense and especially this Patriots offensive line. And I think that's
traded for somebody.
Yeah, who's from the Vikings?
A 6th-round pick, something low. 6th-round pick.
Well, their depth on their offensive line is one of the worst in the league.
Speaking of Band-Aids, they're just pretty much patching this up.
So my concern for Mac Jones isn't – I still believe in the talent of Mac Jones. It's the line in front of him and the lack of depth. Bill O'Brien, first year as OC, I hope it goes up. I think this receiver room is a little bit more talented than a lot of people think. But Mac Jones hasn't done himself really a lot of favors here in the offseason. So he's my faller. Even though it's it's not a huge gap, Mac Jones was the first one that came to mind for me. James, who you got tumbling down? I think we've already talked about this.
We've talked about him, so I'll make it really fast. It's Trey Lance, and for good reason. Yeah. He couldn't beat out Brock Purdy. He couldn't beat out Sam Darnold.
The best football thrower in San Francisco history.
He's getting paid $5 million to be the backup behind Cooper Rush. I don't think Cooper Rush actually loses his job there to Trey Lance. And guess what? You can't sell him. The window has been shut.
You got to hold.
You have to hold and hope that something happens, which is unfortunate to say, but you're not getting back any of the value that you had given for Trey Lance. And for reason alone, I'm not taking a 4th-round pick for Trey Lance or a 3rd-round pick for Trey Lance. It's just not happening. And you obviously paid the 102, 103 in your rookie drafts when you got him, or even more than that before all this debacle happened. So I am out on Trey Lance. I have 1 share with who I will be holding on to for the unforeseeable future because guess what? Can't do anything with him.
That is true. I'll go to myself for the running back faller. For me, it's DeAndre Swift. I love Swift's talent. I think we all do. That's never been the question. The question is the fit and him staying on the field. Now, reports out of Philadelphia is they might be one of the teams that's interested in Jonathan Taylor. Wouldn't that be a bitch if he went there?
Swift's only on a 1-year deal.
Swift is on the last year of his rookie deal. Maybe he gets traded to Indy. Now that would be nice. That would be a win if he went there because they don't have much.
Question mark why he's been traded so much though.
Yeah. So anywho, with the Eagles, we're seeing Kenny Gainwell get some steam. They have Rashad Penny, who, when healthy, is a solid running back. We just don't know how they're going to use DeAndre Swift. They don't typically throw to the running back position, so just a lot of unknowns. And I think he's been the big faller. He hasn't done anything special in camp, and the buzz seems to be about everyone else but him. So that's my concerns with DeAndre Swift. Tyler, who you got as your running back faller?
Travis Etienne. It's all because of what we mentioned with Tank Bigsby. I think the dreams of him being a full-time running back are out the window. I think Tony Pollard will probably have a little more touches than Travis Etienne this season, but he's a fine player. I just don't think he's in that RB8 area, which everybody was taking him at. He's more of the RB 12 to 15 range. But if you had him, your sell window is closing very quickly because his value will probably more than likely drop due to the production.
Yeah. James, who's your running back faller? I know this looks like one we've already talked about a little bit here.
Yeah, and I'll elaborate why. Fruit. And it's Jonathan Taylor. He is low-hanging fruit. And it's not because he's not the biggest faller. He isn't the biggest faller yet. He could continue to drop in value. But I'm considering buying right now. We talked about it all last season. We busted Tyler's chops about, he said, sell Jonathan Taylor, sell Jonathan Taylor.
I had
Guess
been
what?
For 2 years.
He is not going to retake his RB1 value in Dynasty probably ever again. Already listed at RB3. We don't know where he's going to play, if he is going to play this year. Only has 1 year left on his contract, but he's only 24 years old. He can revamp that. So, yes, he has fallen in value. It is, I believe, a buying opportunity for Jonathan Taylor. And I'm okay with giving a first because I know what he could do on the field. In the 2 seasons prior to him missing a bunch of games due to injury, he was a top 6 and the number 1 overall in PPR scoring. So, yeah, Jonathan Taylor, he's going to land somewhere. Even though I said he's probably not getting traded this year, he'll land somewhere next year, and you will be happy you bought in now.
You know what's funny is everybody says 30-year-old for wide receivers, the age where nobody wants to trade for them. 25 is the new running back age where you see that age number, and you legit go, they got one more year, and then they're done. Like, that's where we're at with running backs, and it's gross.
Unless they're exceptional, which there's very few
like
right
Barkley
now.
And
McCaffrey,
and Eckler, I think, is there. McCaffrey, I think, has 3 or 4.
All right, let's move it on to wide receiver. Now, all 3 of these names all have injury concerns. I'll start with mine first, and it's Kadarius Toney. I actually traded Kadarius Toney off my roster because I am just done with Kadarius Toney. I'm done hoping. I'm done with he looks electric with the ball in his hands, or his balls in his hands. I mean, he pretty much does that more often than anything anyway. He probably sprained his perineum just standing there. So for me, Kadarius Toney is a guy I just don't want anything of. And if I'm wrong, okay, I'm fine with it. But the guy's never healthy. He's never on the field. They gave him very few touches in the Super Bowl. I don't think they're going to revolve their offense around him like they've been get out of here with that. I wanted out from Kadarius Toney, so I put him in a package deal and sent him to another team. Adios, KT. Bye-bye.
100%. Yeah.
I think I sold him this week as well.
Yeah, Damon got a trade offer to get rid of him in that said league, Doug, and he said no thank you. And I was like, you're overthinking this. Get rid of him as quickly as possible. Yeah, especially getting a 2nd-round pick, even a 25 2nd-round pick that was included in the deal. I'm like, Damon, do it. If you're listening to this now, do it.
Do it. James, who you got for your wide receiver sell?
Well, not only is this guy hurt, but he's also suspended for 6 weeks. Jameson Williams, he is taking the fall from grace. Most of us had him inside the top 12 rookie picks last year. Mm-hmm. And guess what? It's just an instant replay. I feel like he's going to be driving down Las Vegas Boulevard sooner or later.
Whoa.
No. Yeah. Because listen,
I thought you did. I thought that was Henry Ruggs you were commenting. That's what it sounded like.
Yeah, that's what I was comping him to, Henry Ruggs.
No, we're not going to bring that up.
Yep. What? Why? Because I believe he's only really a one-trick pony. He's got the speed to go down the field, which is great. He's going to be a complementary piece in this offense because Amon-Ra St. Brown isn't going anywhere. Not only that, he's had a bad attitude in camp. All right. He's suspended 6 weeks for gambling. He's just totally immature. And first round pick, now he's dynasty wide receiver 37. I'm not buying into him for anything more than a second, and mid to late second at that. And it could probably get it done at that point. But he's not the first target. He's not the second target, and probably not the third target on this team. I am down on Jameson Williams, rightfully so. And he is one of my biggest fallers because I was really looking forward to what he could bring to the offense.
Yeah, mine is another wide receiver from Alabama. That's Jerry Jeudy. And for me, it's just what I heard from Cecil Lammey. The inconsistency at practice, just the issue of him not really pushing himself, pushing the issue, like wanting to be great. He just seems like he's floating around, just being him. So for me, Jerry Jeudy is definitely the person that's falling. I get everybody's starting to fall in love with him again, but man, it's year 4 and we haven't seen consistent production out of it. So Jerry Jeudy is a definite faller for me. I think if you have him, like I said, I'm going Jahan Dotson for him. I think we're at that stage where if you can do that right now, do it before Dotson hits the field and produces. So that's my sell at receiver.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. So let's move on to tight end. I'll give you mine first. It's Chig Okonkwo. I love Chig. Tyler mentioned that he's had a little bit of a drop season preseason. I'm not overly worried about that, but the biggest reason that he's a faller is because they brought in DeAndre Hopkins, who is pretty much a target hog. They have Treylon Burks there. Kyle Phillips injured himself, so they're a little scant at wide receiver. But, I mean, we all know this offense is going to be a lot of Derrick Henry, a little Tajay Spears, maybe a little bit of Julius Chestnut sprinkled on top. As a sleeper for you. So Chig Okonkwo tumbles down a little bit for me. There wasn't a lot of tight ends that I thought that lost value. I think James is going to cover one that I immediately thought of. But for me, Chig Okonkwo lost a little bit of value. Still love the talent, but target share percentage, it's going to dip a little bit. So, James, let's go to you with that tight end that I was thinking of.
Yeah, it's Greg Dulcich. And last year I was all about Greg Dulcich because, you were getting him in the second, third round in rookie drafts, and he looked promising. But all of a sudden things change. Sean Payton comes in, says he's going to play more of a joker role. Well, guess what? I don't like betting on court jesters. I have no confidence in Russell Wilson to resurrect his career in Denver. And pretty much they look terrible in the preseason. And he's going way too high. He's ranked tight end 11 right now. He's going to continue to fall with Adam Troutman being named the starter in the offense. Like, that is just a kick in the face to Dulcich. He's really going to need to turn the narrative around this season for him to start climbing up the ranks again. And really the fallers I've named today have been falling for the most part, but Dulcich, he's yet to fall as much as he probably will this season.
Yeah, mine is more of a high-profile name, and it's T.J. Hawkinson up here in Minnesota. He's in a contract year, and he definitely wants to get paid, but he hasn't touched the field in training camp.
Lingering back issue?
It's a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
It's ear infection. He's had some ear infections.
Last I read was back stiffness.
That, and he's actually had a really
his ear
bad...
back.
Yeah, he's actually had a really bad ear infection. Now, if you guys haven't had really bad ear infections, they can really mess with you. Like your sight, you could have some vertigo. There could be some major issues kind of creeping in. I've had tubes when I was a kid. I've had tube complications. I've had major ear issues growing up. So no hearing aids yet. Just,
Huh?
Exactly. So TJ Hawkinson, I really like him in Minnesota, but I don't really know if it's a contract dispute or if it is these lingering issues, but it just seems like they're kind of at a standstill.
He could be doing the Gronk thing where it's like, oh, I got little nicked up dings because I don't want to do anything in the preseason.
I mean, if with this whole news, he could actually be a good buy, but he has definitely fallen from the grace that was the end of the season after the big trade. So I still like Hawkinson, but there's something going on this offseason, and it's been kind of kept behind closed doors, so just keep an eye on it.
All right, will do. Well, that is going to wrap up the fallers and the risers. So make sure, again, you like and subscribe on YouTube. If you're going on iTunes, you get your podcast over there. Make sure you give us a rating and review. We would love to hear it. Whether it's good or bad, let us know. And before we leave, I just want to give a shout out to Dynasty Nerds. We're actually going to have Rich from Dynasty Nerds on next week for our hot take episode. And so use code DHH for 15% off of any subscription. You get trade tools, extra episodes, prospect film room, prospect scores, Dynasty GM, all sorts of good stuff. With the summer, sadly, coming to an end, it's about to be hoodie season. If you need a sweatshirt for someone to steal, go ahead and go on Verdi and Global and get a DHH sweatshirt for yourself today, as well as a hat. There's a toque, I believe, for you Minnesotans. I believe that's how they say it up there, right? Beanie, a toque.
We call it a beanie.
Oh, it's just Canadians that call it a toque.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. I know you're close.
How dare you?
You're just a body of water across the way. I don't know how it translates. Pop.
Not even that in some cases.
Pop.
Yeah.
Let's get some pop.
Pop.
You mean
when you're
soda?
up here, you like that, right?
Yeah, I'm used to it. Western New York,
Pennsylvania
pop
thing.
too.
Yeah, Pennsylvania does it as well.
So it's not too far off. So make sure you go check that out as well. That is going to wrap us up for this week. Next week is Hot Takes with Rich Dotson from Dynasty Nerds. It's going to be one of our funnest episodes of the year. So make sure you tune in to DHH next week. We'll see you later.